Well, as part of a present to myself for my 21st birthday, I bought a load of Cuban cigarillo selection packs. I had a decent full-size Cuban cigar as well, but I thought it'd be interesting to go through the Cuban cigarillos and see how good they are, how well they compare to each other, and how good they are compared to just bog standard cigarillos. So, let's have a look. These are the Cafe Cremes, they're just the normal sort of bulk standard supermarket cigarillos. They're about £4 something a packet. You get 10 in there, and price wise, yeah, they're about £4.60 I think, and I think they're about £1 more expensive than the very cheapest cigarillos you can get, which are actually the same manufacturer, Scandinavian Tobacco Group, and they're called Moments. And those aren't too bad either for the price, but these are alright. There's nothing wrong with them, but nothing particularly special about them. So that's Cafe Cremes, and they're not the Cubans, they're just the supermarket ones. Then we have Cohibas. These were quite a strong tobacco taste, and they weren't very harsh. They reminded me quite a lot of the taste you get from Hamlet, you know, the sort of Benson Hedges cigars, those. So there was nothing particularly wrong with them, but they weren't really anything special either. Montecristos are pretty good. I think Montecristo is supposedly the most popular brand of Cubans, and Montecristos, you know, pretty famous. These were a decent strength tobacco, very high strength nicotine in them, but yeah, taste wise they didn't do massive for me, but they were good in the nicotine department, and I can see why they're popular. Now we have the Romeo and Juliets. These are my favourite. The nicotine content's fairly high, but the main thing in it was that the actual taste of the tobacco was nice. It, you know, had more of a flavour to it, like you'd get with pipe tobacco, rather than just being a strong tobacco taste. And these were the odd ones, the Partagas. They were, it's hard to explain really. They tasted quite nice and smooth, but then you had a weird sort of bitter aftertaste with them, which I wasn't a massive fan of, but each their own. And obviously one thing I should point out is, I think, although it will be an unpopular opinion, a lot of cigar type snobbery stuff is very similar, you know, to wine snobbery, where a lot of people try and justify the price of a cigar, you know, or the quality of a cigar simply by the price and not the actual, you know, how good the cigar is. So I think that's why I've got the Cafe Cremes in here, just to compare those as cheap cigarillos to actual Cuban cigarillos. So I'm going to put these on the far left and say these are my least favourite, the Partagas, just because of the odd aftertaste. Some people might like that, but personally I didn't. I think I'm going to I'll put the Cafe Cremes here because, as I said, they're sort of bulk standard. There's nothing really special about them, but they're you know, they're not bad for the price, and they're about half the price a packet than most of these Cubans would be. I bought them in a sort of multi-selection pack type thing. But I'll put the Cohibas next. I said they sort of just taste a lot like Hamlet, so I couldn't taste anything really better about them. Nicotine wise, I guess they were fairly strong, but they weren't anything, you know, noticeably really strong. Then the Montecristos, they were yeah, they were pretty good. I mean, taste wise they were just, you know, normal cigar taste, but nicotine wise they were quite strong. And on the very far right as the best, I'll put the Romeo and Juliets, because they were both good nicotine strength and they actually had, you know, an interesting flavour to them, so they're more pleasant to smoke. And I'll just demonstrate how hand-rolled cigarillos look different than the machine manufactured ones, because these are machine manufactured, which in my opinion doesn't have any effect on taste at all, although lots of people say it does, but each their own. So a machine manufactured rolled cigarillo looks like that. It's basically slightly smaller at one end, very evenly made. Something like the Romeo and Juliets, which are hand rolled, you can hopefully see the difference, that there's sort of more imperfections, if you like, and a more natural look to the actual rolled tobacco in terms of shape and things like that. And one thing about the sort of supermarket cigarillos is you'll see size-wise They're slightly thicker than the Cuban hand rolls, but they're slightly shorter, about half an inch shorter. But I imagine on weight you get about the same amount of tobacco in each one, regardless. So, in my opinion, if you can get hold of them, these Romeo and Juliet ones are the best cigarillos out there. Out of what I've tried anyway, there's probably more brands around. But I think price-wise it works out about 2 packets of these for one of these, so I don't know really if it's worth that. But yeah, hope you found this interesting, and let me know of any other cigarillos that are tasty and interesting, and I might try them out at some point.